Welcome to the Secret History Channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. This photo shows the effects of the Great Fire that hit Rawhide, Nevada in 1908. The town had been founded only 2 years earlier, after the discovery of gold and silver, and had quickly grown with thousands of residents and wooden buildings. The main street in Deadwood, Dakota Territory in 1876 shows a lively town during the Black Hills Gold Rush. A high bridge on the road between Ouray and Silverton in southwestern Colorado around 1890. This mountainous area was a major center for silver mining in the late 19th century. A group of men betting on a game of faro inside a saloon in Bisbee, Arizona in the year 1900. Faro was a very popular card game in the Old West, especially among miners, cowboys, and travelers. The Deadwood coach in Deadwood, South Dakota in 1889. The stagecoach was a key means of transportation for residents and visitors during the Black Hills Gold Rush. A stagecoach in Cripple Creek, Colorado in 1895. At the time, Cripple Creek was one of the leading gold mining centers in the United States, attracting miners and traders from all over the country. The first blacksmith shop in Guthrie, Oklahoma in the year 1889. The town emerged rapidly after the opening of the unassigned lands for settlement in April of that year. A crowded stagecoach in front of the Walcott Hotel in the state of Wyoming in the late 19th century. Stagecoaches were the main mode of passenger and mail transportation in remote regions of the Old West before the arrival of railroads. A group of men playing a poker game at John Doyle's ranch in Arizona between 1887 and 1889. Poker was one of the most popular games in the Old West, commonly played in ranches, saloons, and mining camps. Cowboys gathered for a cattle roundup at the famous 101 Ranch south of Hunnewell, Kansas, between the 1870s and 1898. Businesses along Main Street, typical of growing towns in the West. The two tall pine trees were likely preserved by early business owners who used them to hang the Adam Brothers banner, making their storefronts more visible. This section of Main Street was home to a variety of businesses, including the grocery store Sella and Hall, the law offices of Miller and Haste, the Stebbins Wood and Post Bank building, the bootmaker Karcher, and the J. Shouty Public Market. A man guards a miners' camp near Deadwood in 1876. These types of camps were common during the Black Hills Gold Rush, with miners setting up temporary shelters while searching for gold. The town of Deadwood in 1876 during the Black Hills Gold Rush. The wooden streets and simple buildings reflect the rapid growth of the town, which became a hub of commercial and mining activity. The camp of Gayville in 1876 during the Black Hills Gold Rush. Gayville was a temporary mining town made up mostly of wooden cabins and tents, as was typical for towns that sprang up around mines in the American West. The town of Tonopah, Nevada in 1903, shortly after the silver discovery that transformed it into a major mining center. The image shows a busy street with covered wagons, horses, and many people moving between businesses. The town of Goldfield, Nevada in 1903, when it was still made up mostly of canvas tents. That year, large gold deposits were discovered in the area. This photo shows the construction of the Goldfield News Building and the Goldfield Hotel around 1907 in the town of Goldfield, Nevada. After the gold discovery in 1902, Goldfield grew quickly and became the largest city in the state. Around 20,000 spectators gathered to watch a rock drilling contest in Goldfield, Nevada, around 1907. These competitions were popular during the mining boom and tested the miners' skill and endurance. This photo shows the town of Goldfield, Nevada in 1907 during the peak of its mining activity. A delivery of Moet and Chandon champagne in Tonopah, Nevada, around 1913. The photo shows bottles being transported in crates by wagons, reflecting the luxury circulating in the city during its mining boom. The arrival of a stagecoach in the town of Ely, Nevada during Railroad Day in September 1906. The event marked the opening of the railway that connected Ely to the region's industrial and mining centers. Miners at the Plumas Eureka Mine, located in Johnsville, California, in the year 1889. The mine was part of an important gold mining region during the second half of the 19th century. A stagecoach crossing the desert near Goldfield, Nevada, around 1905. The region was arid and had extreme temperatures, making the journey long and difficult. A stagecoach from Saratoga on its way to Encampment, Wyoming in 1899. At that time, both Saratoga and Encampment were growing towns due to mining and business activity. The Tonopah Railroad Station in Nevada in 1907. The arrival of the railroad was crucial for the city's growth, allowing faster transportation of silver, goods, and workers. The famous Barrel House of Tonopah, Nevada, built around 1905. The structure was made from reused wooden and metal barrels originally used to transport water, oil, and other supplies. An improvised sewing room near San Bernardino, California, around 1889 or 1890. A boarding house in the town of Midland, Texas, photographed in 1882. The wooden building served as temporary housing for travelers, railroad workers, cowboys, and merchants passing through the area. A meat market in the town of Enid, in Oklahoma Territory, in 1893. The town was founded during the opening of the Cherokee Strip that same year, when thousands of settlers arrived to claim land. The beginning of the town of Anadarko in Oklahoma Territory on August 8, 1901. The photo shows a land auction taking place at a lumber stand, while temporary buildings like banks and a future boarding house rise nearby. Workers laying railroad tracks in Arizona in 1898. The construction was part of the effort to connect the Wild West Territory with urban and industrial centers across the United States. The Wells Fargo Express office in Cisco, California, around 1869, with the caption, "All aboard for Virginia City." Cisco was an important stop along the railroad connecting several cities in the West. The photography tent of O.S. Mitchell, set up in Indian Territory around the 1890s. These mobile tents were common among traveling photographers who journeyed across the American West to capture portraits. Miners working underground in a copper mine in the Clifton-Morenci region of Arizona. A group of miners posing on wooden structures inside the Copper Queen mine in Bisbee, Arizona in 1883. The mine was one of the nation's most important copper producers during the 19th century. Miners posing next to the main structure of the Silver King mine in the Arizona Territory around 1880. The wooden structure, called a head frame, was used to transport people, tools, and ore between the surface and the underground tunnels. Miners inside the Kennedy Mine, located in Jackson, California, in the late 19th century. The Kennedy Mine was one of the deepest and most productive gold mines in the state, reaching over 6,000 feet deep. Miners descending into the tunnels of the Empire Mine in Grass Valley, California, in the early 1900s. The Empire Mine was one of California's oldest and most productive gold mines, operating from 1850 to 1956. Miners descending an inclined shaft, likely belonging to the Empire Mine in Grass Valley, California. The image was taken in the early 20th century, when the mine was in full operation. Miners in New Almaden, California, around 1880. The region was known for its mercury mining, which was essential for processing gold and silver. Miners working underground at the New Almaden mine in California around 1885. They were extracting cinnabar, the ore used to produce mercury, crucial for refining gold and silver. The Baghdad mine around 1910, located in the Mojave Desert in California. The mine was known for copper extraction, a key material for the rapidly growing electrical industry in the early 20th century. Miners at the Saratoga mine in Central City, Colorado, in the year 1889. The town was part of the region known as the Colorado Gold Belt, one of the most active areas during the state's gold rush. Miners working at a site known as Number 7 Bench Claim in Anvil Creek, Alaska, around the year 1900. The discovery of gold in the region in 1898 sparked a new gold rush in the far north of the United States. A fishing camp set up by Chinese settlers at Point San Pedro, California in 1889. The group lived off fishing and drying seafood, which they sold locally and shipped to other regions. Members of the Apache people delivering bundles of hay to American settlers in the Arizona Territory in 1893. A group of explorers and horses crossing the hot, slippery rocks of Navajo Mountain in Utah during the 1909 expedition to Rainbow Bridge. Travelers on their way to the Klondike Goldfields, passing through the Chilkoot Trail in Alaska in 1898. The first water supply structure in the town of Perry, Oklahoma in 1893. The system was simple, using wooden towers and tanks to store and distribute drinking water to the community. Fort Lyon, located in southern Colorado around the 1860s. The fort was originally built as a United States military base to protect transportation routes and settlers during conflicts with tribes. The cabin known as Clark's Rest, located in Mariposa Grove, within what is now Yosemite National Park, California. The image was taken between 1860 and 1874. This photo shows buckboard wagons crossing the Gila River near San Carlos, Arizona in 1885. These light vehicles, pulled by horses or mules, were used to transport people and supplies through rough terrain. The windmill in Laramie, Wyoming, photographed in 1868. The structure was used to pump water to supply steam locomotives, which were essential for the operation of the Transcontinental Railroad that passed through the area. Members of the 40th Parallel Survey Team, led by Clarence King near Oriana, Nevada in 1867. The expedition was one of the first detailed geological surveys of the American West. The crew of the boat Picture at Diamond Creek after traveling up the Colorado River through Black Canyon in 1871. In the center is photographer Timothy O'Sullivan, fourth from the left, standing beside members of the Wheeler expedition and Native Americans who assisted the journey. This photo was taken in 1867 when photographer Timothy O'Sullivan traveled to Virginia City, Nevada to document the mining operations at the Savage and Gould and Curry mines, located in the Comstock Lode. The expedition boat Nettie on the Truckee River in western Nevada in 1867. The vessel was used by members of the Geographical Survey led by Clarence King, who was exploring along the 40th parallel. Maimun, a Mojave Native American who served as a guide and interpreter during part of the expedition in the Colorado region in 1871. Members of the Ute people next to a tent made of elk hide, photographed between 1871 and 1874. The Utes lived in areas that today include Colorado, Utah, and parts of New Mexico. A group of Paiute natives near the region of Cedar, Utah in 1872. The Paiute inhabited the southwestern part of what is now the United States, including Utah, Arizona, Nevada, and California. They lived by hunting, gathering, and small-scale farming in arid regions. A group of Apache prisoners during a rest stop near the Southern Pacific Railroad by the Nueces River in Texas in 1886. They were being transported under custody of the United States Army after conflicts during the Apache Wars. The family of Warren M. Johnson at the Grand Canyon around 1889 or 1890. Seated and dressed in typical late 19th century clothing, the family members pose before a rocky natural landscape. The old mission church at Zuni Pueblo, New Mexico, seen from the Central Plaza in 1873. The structure was built by Spanish missionaries in the 18th century as part of their efforts to convert indigenous peoples to Christianity. A group of boomers in what is now Oklahoma around 1889. The boomers were settlers who pushed for the opening of the unassigned lands, areas originally reserved for native peoples.